Good afternoon, my Real News Midday TV family. Welcome back to the channel for another news update for December 22, 2023. And in the news this afternoon, Bunting wants ended to practice of long-term contract work. Opposition Senator Peter Bunting has called for the government to end the practice of private sector companies offering long-term rolling contracts to workers. Making his contribution to the State of the Nation debate in the Senate on Thursday, Mr. Bunting argued that the practice of contract work is denying workers much-needed benefits. Mr. Bunting argued that the practice, which has been a major concern to the island's trade unions, must be challenged. He suggested that some employers use contract work as a facade to avoid the legal and ethical obligation to provide sick leave with pay, vacation leave with pay, maternity leave with pay, vacation leave with pay, and the right to union representation, adding that contract workers are not entitled to redundancy payments if the business is restructured. Senator Bunting said all these factors result in a great deal of insecurity for workers. Where you have workers working at one institution for 20 years in a row on 46-month contracts, that is a huge degree of job insecurity. The stress of working under those conditions, where any morning you could reach work and that's it, 2 weeks notice and that's it, he lamented. PNP ready for local government polls, says Campbell. People's National Party General Secretary Dr. Dayton Campbell has sought to put to rest the question of readiness ahead of the local government election due by next February. Expressing that the PNP machinery is ready for both the local and the general elections, Dr. Campbell said the party has been relying on scientific data. It said the PNP has completed all its targets in the divisions and the constituencies. For the local government election, the PNP General Secretary said all 228 candidates have been selected for each division, as well as a candidate for the Portmore municipality. The party also has 60 of the 63 candidates it needs for general election. The other 3 will be finalized by the end of December.
Ready for any one of the elections. With the local government elections, we have 228 candidates in the 228 divisions, plus a candidate for the municipality of Portmore. And in relation to the general elections, we have 60 of the 63 candidates in place, and we'll be settling the other 3 by the end of this month. So by the end of 2023, we'll have all our candidates in place. We have a communication plan for them. There's a parish management team in place in each parish. And so, I believe that we are ready. We've audited all of the divisions and the concept. So I'm comfortable with where we are. Of course, given more time, we'll almost fine-tune the thing some more. But I'm comfortable with where we are now. I think that we can win either election if they're called.
Fire Brigade Assistant Commissioner pleads guilty to be sentenced the next year. Assistant Commissioner of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Floyd McLean, pleaded guilty to the charge of indecent assault in the St. James Parish Court on Thursday. McLean was originally charged with attempted rape and the sexual touching of a child, but pleaded guilty to the lesser charge. He is to be sentenced on February 9, 2024. The Assistant Commissioner is accused of sexually molesting a 14-year-old girl who was volunteering at the Montego Bay Fire Department. McLean was arrested in August following a probe by detectives from the Center for the Investigation of Sexual Offenses and Child Abuse into the incident, which reportedly occurred in July. It was reported that after the alleged incident, the child told a family member who got the police involved. McLean first joined the service in 1990 and was a decorated member of the JFB. He was in charge of the JFB's Region 4 division. Scrub information from empty barrels, police advise. The Jamaica Constabulary Force is advising Jamaicans who receive barrels from overseas during the festive season to be careful when displaying the empty containers bearing their relatives' personal information. Head of the Jamaica Constabulary Force Corporate Communications Unit, Senior Superintendent of Police Stephanie Lindsay, shared that while these containers are very useful for garbage disposal, it's important to distort the shipping information to deter fraudsters and other criminals. Use a marker or something, because what they do is they study the information and turn up at your gate pretending to be sent by somebody from abroad and that they are connected to the person and because they have all that information, they are able to provide you with the information that convinces you that they are legitimate. They are not legitimate. They are just using that bit of information to gain your trust to gain access, she said. Meanwhile, the senior superintendent further urged that when securing transportation involving luggage and valuables from the airport, particularly during the busy travel season, it is best to travel with someone you know. Don't just get somebody, because we have seen in the past cases that we have investigated where it is the very same person that you used to transport you from the airport is the one who set up the robbery, and you end up losing your things because they intercept, SSP Lindsay explained. She also advised the persons to be discreet when traveling from the airport with valuables, both on their person and in their suitcases. Civil servant takes a government to court to retain her job. Senior government employee Sandra Graham has filed an application in the Supreme Court challenging the decision of the Public Service Commission to separate her from her job on the grounds of redundancy or reorganization. Graham, who is the Principal Director of Corporate Services in the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunication and Transport, is seeking an order that the decision to separate her from the public service is procedurally improper, as the decision is in breach of Section 125 of the Constitution of Jamaica. The applicant contends that the decision is based on false allegations made against her by purported anonymous persons. She states in her affidavit that she is not afforded the opportunity to confront them. She referred to anonymous letters accusing her of hating Portfolio Minister Darrell Vaz and trying to bring down the permanent secretary. Graham said she has written to the Integrity Commission concerning her job and has reported threats she received to the police. Coral Palmer, permanent secretary in the ministry, who is Graham's immediate supervisor, is also named as a respondent. Graham says she has given sterling contribution to the public service and has received commendations. She is seeking leave to go to the Judicial Review Court for an order of certiorari to quash the decision of the respondents to separate her from her job on the grounds of redundancy and reorganization. She has stated that the decision to remove her from the public service is based on vendetta and bad faith based on the contrived allegations. Attorney-at-law Hugh Wildman, who is representing Graham, said the application was filed on Thursday and he has applied for an expedited hearing given the fact that she is to leave office by January 1. On November 10, Graham said she received a letter stating that a consideration was being given by the PSC for her to be separated from the public service on the grounds of redundancy and/or reorganization on January 1, 2024. She was instructed to show within 5 days just the cause why she should not be separated from the public service. She said she immediately sought legal advice and through her lawyer Hugh Wildman wrote to the PSC. A meeting was held on December 1 with representatives of the Office of the Services Commission, and she was then informed that the PSC intends to carry out its threat of having her separated from the public service by the end of this year. Graham states that she acted promptly and her only alternative remedy is that of judicial review. She pointed out in her application that on November 27, through her lawyer, she wrote a letter asking to be allowed to perform in another position of comparable standard, but to date there has been no response. The applicant states that she has 22 years of service in the public service and has served as a press secretary to 2 former prime ministers. Graham is contending that she has been deprived of a fair hearing by the respondents, in particular the PSC, in proposing to remove her from the office without giving her full opportunity to make worthwhile suggestions to remain in the job.